Hey there, I'm Melanie Thompson. I'm 38, a single mom, and the proud mother of a 16-year-old whirlwind named Zoe. She's my whole world, the spark in my everyday. We live in a snug little house in the suburbs. It's not much, but it's ours, filled with love and a million memories. I work as a nurse at the local hospital. The shifts are long, grueling even, 12 hours on my feet, racing from one crisis to the next. But I do it for Zoe. I need to keep a roof over our heads, food on the table. It's not easy, but it's worth every second when I come home to her smile. I was stirring a quick dinner before my night shift when Zoe came crashing through the door, her volleyball bag hitting the floor with a thud. "Mom, you're not going to believe what happened at practice today," she exclaimed, her excitement filling the room. I smiled, knowing something good was coming. "What's up, sweetie? Did coach finally notice that killer serve you've been working on?" "Even better, we're going to the state championship." I dropped the spatula in my hand and pulled her into a tight hug. "Oh my God, Zoe, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you." Moments like that make everything, every exhausting shift, every late night worry, worth it. I've made it my mission to be at every game, balancing life between work and helping her with school. I've become an expert at juggling chemical equations and analyzing Shakespeare, all while managing my own chaos. Then there's Jack, my ex, a charming real estate agent who shows up when it suits him. He's got that knack for swooping in, playing the fun dad, and then disappearing just as fast. "Hey kiddo," Jack's voice boomed from the driveway one Saturday afternoon. "Ready for our day out?" Zoe's face lit up as she ran toward him. "Dad, you're early." I forced a smile. "Have fun, you two. Don't forget your jacket, Zoe," I called after them. As they drove off, that familiar pang settled in. Jealousy, worry, maybe both. I shook it off, trying to focus on tidying up the house. But it lingered like an unwelcome guest. Later that evening, Sarah, my best friend and fellow nurse, stopped by with a knowing grin and a bottle of wine in hand. "Girl, you look like you could use this." I laughed, grateful for the distraction. "Am I that obvious?" We settled on the porch, and before I knew it, I was spilling my guts about Jack's increasing presence in Zoe's life. "I don't know, Sarah. He's been taking her out more often, buying her all these fancy things. I can't compete with that." Sarah rested a hand on my arm. "Mel, you're an incredible mom. Zoe knows that." "Does she?" "Lately it feels like she's slipping away. She's always on her phone, talking about how cool her dad is." Just as I said it, Zoe and her best friend Lily burst up the driveway, giggling over something on Lily's phone. "Hey, Mrs. T," Lily chirped. "Mind if I stay for dinner?" "Of course not, sweetie. You're always welcome here." As the girls disappeared inside, Sarah gave me a knowing look. "See, your house is still the place to be." I nodded, but something still gnawed at me, like the foundation of everything I'd built was starting to crack. I had no idea just how deep that crack was about to run. My sweet, bright Zoe was slipping away from me, and I didn't even see it coming. It started small, missed curfews, half-finished homework. But now it felt like I was living with a stranger. One night, she stumbled in at 2 a.m., reeking of cigarettes. "Zoe, it's 2 in the morning. Where have you been?" My voice wavered between anger and fear. "Out, Mom." "God, can you chill?" She shot back, brushing past me like I was nothing more than an inconvenience. The smell of cigarettes clung to her clothes, and my heart sank. "Have you been smoking?" "Zoe, we've talked about this." "Whatever. You're not Dad. He lets me live a little." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Jack had been showing up more, bringing gifts, making promises. The next morning, I tried to talk to her, softer this time. Over breakfast, I said, "Honey, I'm worried about you. Your grades, the late nights. Maybe if you weren't so controlling, I could actually focus," she snapped, slamming her spoon down. "Controlling?" I echoed, trying to keep calm. "I'm trying to help you. By suffocating me. Dad says you're just stuck in the past, jealous of him." My blood boiled. "Your father doesn't." But she was already storming out, slamming the door behind her. That night, I called Jack. "What are you telling our daughter about me?" "Relax, Mel," he said smoothly. "I'm just showing her there's more to life than your rules." "Rules? You mean basic respect and responsibility?" "See? This is why she prefers being with me. You're suffocating her, sucking the joy out of her life." I hung up fuming, but I had no idea just how bad things were about to get. A week later, I was served custody papers. Jack was suing for full custody, claiming I was unfit. I laughed at first, thinking no one would believe that, but then came the court date. Sitting there, confident in the life I built for Zoe, my world came crashing down. Mom's always yelling, Zoe said coldly from the stand. She's never there for me. She's too busy with work to care about what I want. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't happening. She's emotionally abusive, she continued. She makes me feel worthless. Tears blurred my vision. Where were these lies coming from? After the hearing, I cornered her in the hallway. So, how could you say those things? You know they're not true. For a brief second, I saw a flicker of the daughter I knew. But then Jack appeared, sliding his arm around Zoe, pulling her close. It's okay, princess. You did the right thing, he murmured, his voice dripping with reassurance. As they walked away, I overheard him whispering, Remember, a whole new life is waiting for you. No more rules, no more nagging. The judge's decision had come swiftly, full custody to Jack. Me? I was relegated to supervise visits, a visitor in my own daughter's life. As Zoe packed up her things, the silence between us felt unbearable. Each box she carried out felt like a piece of my heart being ripped away. Finally, I asked the question burning in my chest. Why? Zoe barely looked at me. You just don't get it, Mom. I need freedom. Dad understands that. And with that, she was gone. The door clicked shut behind her, echoing through the once noisy, lively house. I sank to the floor, the weight of it all crushing me. That night, Sarah came over, ice cream and tissues in hand. I don't understand, I sobbed, clutching the spoon. Where did I go wrong? You didn't, Sarah insisted, her arm around me. Jack's manipulating her. She'll see the truth eventually. But as I glanced into Zoe's empty room, everything untouched except for the hollow space where she used to be, I wasn't so sure. How do you come back from a betrayal like this? How do you forgive your own child for tearing your world apart? I picked up a framed photo from Zoe's desk. It was from last year, Zoe and I, both smiling carefree. I stared at the image, running my fingers over the glass. I'll fight for you, I whispered. Even if you don't want me to. It's been 6 months since Zoe left, and I've thrown myself into work. Double shifts, overtime, anything to fill the silence of the empty house. Melanie, you can't keep this up, Sarah said one day during our break. You look exhausted. I forced a smile. I'm fine, just busy. But she was right. The exhaustion wasn't just from work. I needed something more, something to distract me from a hollow ache that never went away. That's when I saw the flyer for the youth center. Volunteering seemed like a good way to fill the void. On my first day there, I met Aisha, a tough kid with walls as high as I used to have. She reminded me so much of Zoe, but I couldn't go there, not yet. I don't need your help, Aisha snapped the first time I tried to talk to her. I held up my hands, backing off. Okay, but I'm here if you change your mind. Weeks passed, and slowly Aisha started to open up. One day, during an art session, she broke down, her tough exterior crumbling. My mom's boyfriend is a jerk, she sobbed. He treats me like I'm nothing. My heart ached. I wanted to tell her about Zoe, how much I understood the pain of feeling pushed aside, but I held back. This was about Aisha, not me. Meanwhile, life went on, the days blurring into each other. I was restocking supplies at the hospital when my phone buzzed. Lily's name lighting up the screen. Mrs. Thompson, it's about Zoe. My heart raced. Is she okay? I typed back, my fingers shaking. Not really. She's been hanging out with these sketchy guys in her grades. It's bad. I gripped the phone tighter. What about Jack? Isn't he doing anything? He's never around, Lily replied, followed by a heavy sigh I could almost hear through the text. And his girlfriend Vanessa, she's awful to Zoe. Every instinct screamed at me to rush to Zoe, to pull her back before she slipped even further away. But I remembered the cold look in her eyes at the custody hearing. The sting of betrayal still lingered. Thanks for telling me, Lily. Keep an eye on her, okay? That night, I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning as thoughts of Zoe filled my mind. Was I doing the right thing by staying away? Or was I just abandoning her, like she thought I had before? The next day at the youth center, Aisha seemed different, quieter, more withdrawn. Everything okay? I asked, trying to keep my voice gentle. She shrugged. Why do you care? You're not my mom. The words hit hard. I wasn't her mom, no, but I cared. No, I'm not, I said softly. But I still care. Aisha's tough facade cracked just a little. My mom's boyfriend hit her last night, she whispered. She won't leave him. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. That must be scary. Have you talked to a counselor? She shook her head. Would you like me to go with you? I offered, feeling hope stir as she gave a small nod. Progress. As we walked toward the counselor's office, my phone buzzed again. I glanced at the screen and felt my stomach drop. A news alert about Jack. The headline read, "Local realtor under investigation for fraud." I quickly texted Sarah. Have you seen this? Her reply came instantly, just now. What are you going to do? What could I do? Zoe had made her choice, but the thought of her being alone in the middle of Jack's mess sent a wave of dread through me. Mrs. Thompson. Aisha's voice pulled me back to the present. You coming? I pocketed my phone, right behind you. That evening, I sat in my quiet living room, staring at Zoe's latest school photo. My finger hovered over her contact in my phone. Should I call her? What would I even say? A text from Lily popped up. Zoe's out late again. I'm worried. I closed my eyes, fighting the urge to jump in my car and find her. Instead, I typed back. Thanks for letting me know. Keep me posted. As I set the phone down, I noticed a missed call from an unknown number. I played the voicemail and my blood ran cold. Miss Thompson, this is Officer Davis. The voicemail from Officer Davis sent my heart racing. There's been an incident involving your daughter. I rushed to the station, terrified of what awaited me. Zoe had been caught shoplifting with her new friends. As I entered, I saw her hunched in a chair, looking smaller than I remembered. Mom? I cut her off. Not here, Zoe. Let's go. The car ride home was silent. Tension hung between us, thick and unspoken. When we finally got inside, Zoe broke down. I'm sorry, Mom. Everything's falling apart. Dad's never home. Vanessa hates me, and I don't know what to do. I wanted to pull her into my arms, to comfort her like I used to, but the hurt was still too fresh. Zoe, I can't just pretend nothing happened. You lied about me in court. I know, she sobbed. Dad promised me so much, but it was all lies. I took a deep breath, fighting back the storm of emotions. We need help, Zoe. Real, professional help. She nodded, her face a mix of relief and fear. The next day, I found a family counselor. And then the news broke. Jack had been arrested. Fraud, money laundering, the whole sordid mess. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages, but one stood out. It was from Vanessa. Your brat's stuff is on the curb. Come get it, or it's going in the trash. I sighed, grabbing my keys. When I arrived, Zoe was sitting on her suitcase, crying. She kicked me out, Mom. I have nowhere to go. The old me would have caved instantly, rushing to comfort her. But I held my ground. You can stay in the guest room for now, but we're sticking to counseling. And you'll follow the house rules. Understood? Zoe wiped her tears and nodded. Yes, Mom. Weeks passed. Zoe went back to school. I worked my shifts, and we went to counseling together. It wasn't easy. Every session peeled back more layers of hurt. But we were trying. Then came the night that changed everything. I was working a night shift in the ER when the ambulances screamed in. A multi-vehicle pileup on the highway had sent victims flooding in. As I rushed to help, I froze. There, on one of the gurneys, was Zoe. BP dropping. A paramedic shouted. Possible internal bleeding. In that moment, nurse mode kicked in, pushing aside the panic threatening to take over. Hours later, after surgery, I sat by her bedside, holding her hand, willing her to be okay. When Zoe's eyes fluttered open, she whispered, Mom, you're here. Always, I said softly. As Zoe recovered, we began to have real conversations about the pain we had caused each other, the trust that had been shattered. I want to come home, she said one afternoon, her voice steady. For real this time. I squeezed her hand, searching her eyes. It won't be easy. We have a lot to work through. I know, she replied, but I want to try. Months passed, and slowly, we found a new rhythm. Zoe was back home, working hard in school, rebuilding her friendships. I'd been promoted at work and continued volunteering at the youth center, watching Asha thrive in her first year of college. Life, in its quiet way, was moving forward. One evening, As Zoe and I cooked dinner together, she turned to me, her voice soft. Mom, I know I hurt you. I'm still sorry, but thank you for not giving up on me. I pulled her into a hug, the warmth between us filled with forgiveness and the promise of a stronger bond. We're family, I whispered. We stumble, we fall, but we always find our way back to each other. The story has come to an end, but I have a question for you. If you were in Melanie's shoes, could you forgive your child for betraying you in court and tearing your family apart? Even if they realize their mistake later, would you be able to rebuild that trust? Or would the damage be too severe? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and perspectives might help others facing similar challenges. And if this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that matter.